Hello and welcome to Nuxt Explained. This is John. I'm going to go over how to get started with create-nuxt-app on the command line. It's a command line tool that lets you bootstrap a Nuxt app with settings that you want. So here's what we're going to do. So I'm going to create Nuxt app. Let's just get into it right now. So just to give you an idea of how this works, so you're going to be able to enter a project name, a description. I'm just going to keep the default here. It'll fill it out with some, whimsical input here, some defaults. I'm going to keep it my name, and I'm just going to pick JavaScript. We can get into TypeScript later, but JavaScript is perfectly fine to start with. You can always add TypeScript later. And I'm going to just use NPM for now. You can choose a UI framework by using the arrow keys to select one, and I tend to like Tailwind just because it's basically a design system in a box and provides a lot of customization, and your UI just kind of feels more custom. So I'm just going to take this, and it's not to say that you can't do that with any of the frameworks listed here, but I'm just going to stick with Tailwind because I know it. So we'll go with Tailwind, and I'm going to just use Express, and we'll use Axios and PWA support. I'm not going to use .env. We're not going to deploy this anywhere, and I'm not going to have anybody else work on this, so we'll just pick these. And I'm just going to stick with ESLint, test framework. I'm not going to pick any right now. And we'll pick Universal. So the difference between SPA, single page app, and Universal for SSR is that Universal is going to run on both the client and server side. And Nuxt does server side rendering with Vue on the server side in its Express server. And so you'll be able to see the HTML when you do view source in your browser, and we can take a look at that later, but the main difference is that Universal lets you have server-side rendering. Single page app is built primarily just for the client, and no server-side rendering, but it just depends on what your use case is. I'm going to take advantage of the SSR, and we will just use JSConfig for VS Code. So it's just going to install. We'll be back in just a minute. Alright, our application is done building, or at least being bootstrapped. So what we have to do now is follow these commands that it gives you. We're going to go to our app, npm run dev. Alright, it's listening for changes. And if you visit that URL in your browser, localhost 3000, you're going to get this basic template that Nuxt.js projects typically start with. It can depend on which template you pick when you bootstrap your app. There are some user templates that don't give you this exact output, but it's typically a good starting point. You can just delete all this stuff out of the Vue file when you start getting into your code. But this is how you can easily set up a Nuxt project from your command line using create-nuxt-app, which is, it's basically the equivalent, the Vue equivalent of create-next-app or create-react-app. Anyway, there you have it.